What really caught your eye in terms of the S1? Was it the growth? Was it the amount that they're spending?
Well, first of all, the revenue potential that they are showing is actually immense, yeah, because if you look at the ARPU right now, they're saying $2.14, 15 cents for the last quarter. Facebook was at about 20. So monetization just is at the starting. And this is a company that gets millennials like no other. Look at the product strategy, not just on the ad business side of things, but even the hardware, right? Like the designs and everything. Normal people look at it like, I don't think this would succeed, but it does because they understand that segment like no other. So I believe the revenue growth potential is there. What was interesting if you look at the DAU numbers,
daily active users.
The daily active users, which is a headline number for Snapchat, it has been flatlining for 2 quarters. I mean, YOY growth is still strong, 46% plus, but with Instagram competition heating up, they said 400 million daily active users. Yesterday, if you look at the reported numbers, Q3 to Q4, they added 100 million. That was the difference between in 1 quarter for Instagram. And they do serve similar audiences. So I think the DAU growth numbers would actually need more vetting and longer term, you have to think about Instagram competition, but the revenue potential is definitely there.
Of course, to a certain extent, that's why Snap's not wanted people to look at daily active users. They wanted them to look about the addiction once you're actually using this app. Phil, is there a worry, a concern as VCs that you suddenly got this copycat on the blocks? Facebook couldn't buy them, they want to just copy them?
Well, first of all, I think it's good to take some time and acknowledge that ARPU is a funny sounding word. And then second of all, to say that it's also a weird thing to judge Snap on because they've only been focused on revenue for a relatively short amount of time compared to Facebook. Here's a company that's invented so many new ways that people behave and gotten those behaviors to stick into the fabric of people's lives.
But only millennials, and should they only stick to millennials?
Well, I think as long as they can stay with millennials, I think that's a fantastic market. If they only stick to 25-year-olds, that's different because those change every year and you have to reinvent yourself. But if they've figured out a way to speak to the heart of people in this generation and continue with them as that generation takes over the world, I think that's a huge opportunity.
Is there concern from your point of view as to the growth potential geographically as well, because they've dominated the United States and the United Kingdom, but how are they diversified across other regions?
So if you compare it to the competition like Instagram, for example, they have many more users outside the US. If you just look at the concentration of geographic distribution. So that's the opportunity for Snapchat to grow internationally aggressively. Right now, I believe it's 40% odd number in the US, that's the exposure. So versus Instagram would be 12 to 13, that range. So there's a lot of opportunity to grow internationally. But if the question that you asked me, the concern here would be that if Instagram gets there first and copies these features and gets in the international market first, then that might raise some growth challenges longer term. But to Phil's point about average revenue per user, I can see that it is a very isolated way of looking at things. But if you actually look at the big picture, which is hardware, which is supposed to increase content consumption on the platform and content sharing and henceforth, it's all married together, right? So hardware in itself could be a big revenue driver as well in the next couple of years. So and unlike Facebook, Facebook's hardware contribution is still years away with Oculus is still.
And they've just had to pay a fine on that.
Exactly. Exactly, another topic altogether, right? Yeah. But if you look at the hardware plus advertising together, I mean, the revenue opportunity that they have, even if they stick to their core market, which is 35 and below, is still much higher than where they are right now.
We've got very little time, but I wanted to get you while you're here just to give your view on Amazon. Numbers just out, shares down a little bit, 3%, 22% revenue growth, just not good enough, thanks.
Well, the growth, if you look at the growth, even excluding Forex, it actually slowed down. The cloud services business was fine. Margins were fine. Growth was okay. It's the worry that if you look at the organic growth of the company, is it slowing down because Prime took some of the growth away in Q3, the Prime Day deals and henceforth that they have? Or is this something different? So that's what we'll clarify on the call. But as far as Amazon really goes, I mean, the moat around them that they have they have formed, they basically have hundreds of consumer touch points to get you into Prime. Once they get you into Prime, then you're going to spend significantly more. So I think the strategy longer term is pretty safe and sound, but we'll dig into the growth slowdown number a little bit more to see exactly what was the organic versus...
And if it is Prime cannibalizing some short-term revenue, that's actually great because the long-term potential of a Prime user is far higher.
Far higher.
My suspicion is that's what's going on. They're slowing down short-term a little bit because they're actually transitioning people into Prime, which is fundamentally more valuable in the medium to long term.
Absolutely. And just one more point to that, FBA is becoming a bigger portion of their revenue stream.
You're using too many acronyms. FBA.
Fulfillment by Amazon program, which third-party sellers basically are able to sell to Prime members.
2 billion products they delivered over the 2016. Amazing.
No, but the revenue recognition of that program is on a net basis versus gross basis for Amazon. So that also sort of increasing concentration of that also has a growth slowdown effect, if you may, because the actual volume delivered is misunderstood.